Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I would like to gift my book, The Golden Key, Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance to you at goldenkey.gift, where you can get the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD at checkout.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Welcome one and all. I am super grateful that you have joined me today on what is always another magical today. Another magical today as long as you decide to make it so. Remember, each and every day we wake up, we get to decide. We have a choice on where we decide to place our focus. Our souls have come here to have this glorious experience. And what experience are we deciding to have? We have the power to decide. And that's a beautiful thing once we recognize that that is within our power. I got to thinking about the soul and the spirit, and is there a difference? There are many cultures that believe that there is a difference or a slight variation. In the Kabbalah, for instance, the soul is a grandiose aspect where the spirit is a part of the soul. And that's actually how I see it too. There's other traditions, and I was looking this up earlier just to see who thinks what. And what was very interesting to me is that there's different websites that are saying the same things, but in opposite ways. And so I'm not sure if anybody really truly understands these concepts, even though we're using these words to put these concepts into a box. And I'm not sure that the words are important or the names that we want to title something with. That's not important. What's important is the concept of the soul and the concept of the spirit. And so to me, the concept of the soul is that divine, everlasting, infinite part of ourselves. That part that is right now a part of source, a part of the earth, a part of the air, a part of the space floating in the universe. There is a part of us existing now that is all of those things. And to me, that's what our soul is, that everlasting, multi-dimensional onion of everything happening right now, all existing right now. And the way I see our spirit is the aspect of our soul that has come into this existence to have this experience, to have this focus on this reality. And so when I talk about it, the way I see it even bigger is the soul is like a full crystal, and the spirit is one little facet of that crystal. That one facet in its direction, shining its light in just that specific way, in that facet's individual way. But our soul is that entire crystal, that entire fractal of source. And so it is the soul that wanted to experience all of it. And that is why the soul leaves source to begin with. Because when the soul is with source, there is nothing to experience. And this is why source decided to fractal out and separate itself in this illusory way. And I say illusory way because there really is no separation. It is just an illusion that we are all separate, having all of these separate experiences in our faceted focus. And the creator, source, however you want to define it, God, wanted to do this in order to know itself. In order to know itself, it had to break up into this many pieces to have this many experiences because these experiences are infinite. And so splitting off was the easiest way to experience it all at once. And so that's what happens with our soul. We split off from Creator. And from there, we get to choose our experiences. Now, we start off as maybe a piece in space, a part of this maybe mist that is going to turn into a galaxy or a universe, or maybe even a sun or a planet. And then we get to have the experience of being the elements, of being the earth, the air, the fire, and the water. And then we get to experience being fish and animals and plant life and trees and our pets. And then we get to experience being human. And then when we're human, we get to experience everything it means to be human. That means we get to be every race, every religion, live on every different continent, have every different emotional experience and life experience that there is to have here on this planet. Our soul wants to know all of it. And all the while we are experiencing it, our soul is recording it. Our soul is learning from us and sending this information to the Creator, back to the infinitum, so that it can learn from itself. It is such a beautifully divine design. We are all part of this design, this holographic fractal design, that each and every part of this holographic fractal looks the same as the beginning part. That means we all come from Source. We all have this beautiful, divine, bright, amazing, loving light within us. And that is what we are. We don't see it because of this illusory separation, but we know it somewhere down deep inside of us, because this soul aspect of ourself is always communicating it to us. And the way our soul communicates to us is through our spirit. We can consider our spirit here like a channel. It is a channel that communicates the information from the mind and the body to the cosmos, to the Creator, to the universe. It is a channel that actually then can bring all of the information that we desire from our soul and from the cosmos and from this divine unity of information into our consciousness here in the human experience. And I also think of this spirit as that part of us that makes us who we are, our essence of our humanness. What lights us up inside? What are we passionate about? What makes our hearts sing? That is part of our spirit. And when I think about that part, I think about a saying that my grandfather told my mother that she then told me about raising our children. He said, the one thing you want to be careful of and to never do, never break their spirit. And I think that that is such amazing advice. Never break your kids' spirit. Never tell them they're not good enough. Never tell them it's not okay to follow their dreams, to follow their heart, or that it's not okay to be passionate about what they're passionate about. Keeping the spirit alive within us is what lights our life on fire and is the experience that our soul is desiring for us to have in this moment. And our soul decides or desires to have many experiences. We do both. We decide and we desire. And we are never alone in this process. We have so much help. And we always come in with our soul family. We've been traveling with our soul family throughout this entire existence, and maybe not in every lifetime, but we do always come back together and check in, see how it's going, volunteer in each other's lives to play different parts, play different roles. Because, as you've probably heard before, this life is a game, it's a play, and there's all different characters in our own individual play, our own story that we are writing. Each character is playing a role that was agreed upon before we came here on that soul level in order to have the experience that we are desiring to have. We oftentimes think that the villain is such an awful, terrible person, but that villain and that villain's soul and your soul made an agreement to do this before you came in. And when we go back and we see it after the experience from the soul side, from the spirit perspective, see, we all use these words interchangeably. I do it all the time from the spirit side. And I'm using spirit in this regard because the spirit is where this focus is in this experience. Where does that piece of us go when we die? It goes to that spirit side of this side of where we are. So we live in 3D, we would go to 3D spirit side. If we lived in 4D, we would go to 4D spirit side. And the soul is having that experience on all those levels all at once. And so when we go back to the spirit side, we then look at our lives. We look back at our lives in a different perspective. We look and we see, how did I do there? How did I do in learning this lesson? How did I respond in this relationship, in this contract I'd made with this other soul? And did we accomplish what we wanted to accomplish? That villain on the other side, you can see from that different perspective and see that you've made an agreement with that villain for that villain to teach you a very important lesson. And these are the lessons that we agree to before we come. We want to learn certain things. We want to gain in our soul's evolutionary journey. We want to maybe move up the vibrational ladder. And so we have these lessons to learn. We have to learn everything. We have to have every experience in order for us to finish this school here. And these villains in our lives are playing a very important role. And then there's the concept of our soulmates, our twin flames, twin souls. Oftentimes we use all of these concepts interchangeably as well. And here I think that these concepts are a little different as well, although very similar. So I see a soulmate as someone who we have decided to come together with in this life, either to be with for an extent of time, maybe it's a short extent of time, a longer extent of time, to spend the lifetime with. But we decide that we're going to meet up at some point in our life to serve each other a very important purpose in our lessons, in our journey. And then there's the twin flame. The twin flame, in my mind, is someone who is just like you, is showing the reflection of you and mirroring back to you exactly what you need to learn. And this relationship is a really, really tough one because oftentimes it is like butting heads, because when you come up with those two exactly positive charges, they're going to butt up against each other, or those two exactly negative charges, they butt up. And that reflection of ourselves within another is oftentimes very difficult for one or the other to handle. I know I had a relationship like this in my life, which taught me a very important lesson, or began to teach me a very important lesson of self-love. Oftentimes, our relationships are here to do just that. Self-love is one of the most important lessons that we have decided to learn. And oftentimes, unfortunately for ourselves as humans, because we're so incredibly stubborn, that in order for us to learn self-love, we have to experience the opposite. We have to experience being unloved. For myself in this relationship, I loved this person so much. And that love that I felt was not returned. And it made me feel unworthy and unloved and just not good enough. And what it taught me was that none of that is true. But I had to go through all of that just to come to the realization of I am worthy, I am loved, just because I am. And that is true for every single one of us. We are worthy just because we are, just because we exist. We exist because we are made from this beautiful, loving light. And so how could any of us not be worthy when that is all that we are made of? And so we make these contracts with other souls in order for ourselves to learn this lesson on our own, because we have to have the experiences in order for us to get it. We have to get it on our own. We have to learn it for ourselves. This is not something that somebody else can teach us. They can only teach us by helping us learn it for ourselves, by showing us the opposite oftentimes. Unfortunately for us as humans, we've made it fairly hard on ourselves because we have done this so many times. We've gotten caught up in our karmic loops, coming back over and over again with the same people to try to do it right this time. And the way that we can do it right this time is to forgive, is to just love that person and accept that person for exactly who they are, knowing that they are playing a very important role in your life, and they may not know in their humanness exactly what they're doing. They may not know or understand what you know and understand. And so in that understanding, you can forgive them. Forgiving them, forgiving yourself, is actually how we stop this wheel of karma, how we get off this loop of going round and around and around again. If we can forgive that other person for what they have quote unquote done to us and look at it as look what this person did for me. Look at this awful thing that this person did for me so I can learn how to stand in my power, so I can learn how incredibly strong that I am, so I can learn that I am worthy of love. These are humongous lessons that we unfortunately don't always learn very easy. And so these villains are extremely necessary in our lives. And oftentimes they come in the form of a soulmate, a relationship where we just fall head over heels and our world just collapses into this person. And then our world actually collapses because it doesn't work out in the way that we wanted it to. And then we get to learn. And at the end, looking back, I know for myself being through it, I look back at that point in my life where I don't remember a time where I felt more low. And I look back and I am so incredibly grateful for it. I couldn't be more grateful for anything in my life than that, and that beautiful lesson, and that beautiful soul who agreed to come in and help to teach me this lesson, because it wasn't an easy situation for him to go through either. It wasn't easy for him to break my heart. He didn't want to have to do that, but it wasn't right for him. And so he had to do it for him. He was following his own heart. And he taught me the most beautiful lesson, one of the most beautiful lessons I could have learned in this life. And so I look back in gratitude, in so much love for him. And I don't even need to forgive him because he didn't do anything wrong. But there are a lot of people in our lives who we need to forgive, who have done something incredibly horrendous. And even that person, as odd as it is, as hard as it might be to even comprehend or understand, this agreement was made before we came in. It's just the way the game works. And we have to experience all of it, every single thing. Those traumas, those awful things, those hideous things that may happen to us in this life. Every single time when I have a client where these things have happened to them, the higher self tells them, you went through this so that you could learn compassion, so that you could learn how to forgive. And so, most importantly, so that you could help others, so that you have this experience, so that you can help someone else who has also had this very same experience. Again, other agreements that we make before we come in. These agreements that we have, these plans that we make for ourselves, they're multifactorial. They layer upon themselves, and they involve many different souls who we've been with for millennia. It's such a beautiful design. And I, for one, am happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to have this experience, and I'm happy to play this game. And I hope that some of these concepts help you understand this game a little better so that you can find it more fun and magical every single day. I love you all so much. I'm going to leave you with a song. This is Symbolico, Hanging in Space. Symbolico and Earth connect. Until next time, I love you all.
Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.